Oedipus at Colonus. I bet many of our participants were saying, why are we starting with Oedipus at Colonus?
Right.
In the logic of the stories about Oedipus, this happens at the end.
Right.
So why not start with Oedipus Tyrannos?
Mm-hmm.
But my rationale is that this particular drama tells you almost everything you want to know about the cult hero.
Right.
And Oedipus as a cult hero of Athens, as an adopted cult hero of Athens, maybe because he's an adopted cult hero, not a native cult hero,
Mm-hmm.
is, I think, Exhibit A for our purposes.
Right.
And almost everything that is said
Mm-hmm.
about the cult hero status of Oedipus in this drama
Right.
is a textbook case of
how
everything
it's
we've
supposed
been
to happen.
studying up to now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the words just come together
Right.
so perfectly. And just to show you that these wordings that are so accurate are part of a system that is
Mhm.
part of the civilization at large,
Right.
and that the idea of the ancient Greek hero is part of ancient Greek society.
Right.
So much so that expressing this idea is just there over and over and over again.
Right. And it's there in the Iliad just from the start.
From the start.
Yep.
So from the very first hour
Right.
that we have been together,
Yep.
we see this accurate, systematic way of looking at ancient Greek heroes.
Right.
And when Oedipus says here at the very beginning, as he enters the sacred space of Colonus,
Right.
what then is the place that I have entered?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's Colonus.
Right.
And look at what the xenos says. Now, xenos is a stranger until you establish a relationship
Exactly.
with that stranger.
Exactly. Exactly.
At which point, then the xenos can be your host and you can be the guest.
Exactly.
But right now,
Just a xenos.
we're still
Yep.
getting to know each other.
Yep.
And so the native who is telling about this place, Colonus,
Mhm.
says, this whole place is sacred. Well, we've seen this time and again,
Right.
that the place where a cult hero is worshipped
Mhm.
is sacred no matter what is involved in the place where he or she is worshipped.
Right.
Within the boundaries of that space, everything is sacred.
Yep.
And by sacred, we mean set aside for superhuman beings, superhuman forces
Right.
that we have to worship.
Right.
And we start seeing that this place is sacred to a lot of superhuman forces that have to
Exactly.
be
Not
worshipped.
just one. Yes.
This is a very complicated place.
Yes.
But somehow, in the end, Oedipus will become a part of this sacred
This
space,
whole-
and it
yeah.
will be his too.
Yep. Yep.
And he will be worshipped there, but not yet.
Yep.
So then the native person goes on to talk about the place. As for the place where you have set foot, it is called the bronze step threshold of this land here. So what we're going to see is lots of landmarks.
Uh-huh.
And I always lose count because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
There's so many features that if you think of that one feature, let's use our technical term, metonymy,
Right.
that one feature can stand for the whole
thing,
place and for
yes.
the whole concept.
Yes.
And if you, our participants, are a little wobbly about that word, I think this is now the time where you should start looking more and more at the book, Ancient Greek Hero in 24 Hours,
Uh-huh.
because it's spelled out there.
Right.
And we don't want to take up time with something that should by now start becoming part of our repertoire.
Right. Okay.
So I'm not going to say any more about metonymy here,
Right.
but the bronze step threshold is a perfect example of a marker
Uh-huh.
in a sacred
That becomes a
space.
name for the whole.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then it turns out that the most local of all the heroes who are worshipped in this complex
Mhm.
is somebody who's called Colonus,
Right.
a cult hero called Colonus, which
Uh-huh.
means a tumulus, a
Yeah.
prominent elevation
Yep.
in a site that commands the view of the whole
Right.
site.
Right.
And it turns out this Colonus, this hero, is a rider of chariots, very mystical. And I love the fact that the entire population are named after Colonus. And guess what? The whole place is named after Colonus.
Right.
So again, metonymy.
Right, right.
And please go to the book.
Uh-huh.
The book actually, right in this hour, repeats my working definition of metonymy. And let's not take up time with it here.
Okay.
And it's the shared possession, Colonus.
Right.
Therefore, when Oedipus enters this place,
Right.
he's going to be a part of a very big picture that will somehow be framed by the name Colonus,
Right.
the cult hero who stands for that name, and the place
Right.
that stands for that name, which is the entire precinct that you can think of as a grove, as an orchard, or
Right.
simply as a beautiful vegetal setting.
A park.
A
Yeah.
park.
Yes.
I like that, a park. Now, if you go to Athens today and
This
you
is-
look out the window of a bus and, oh, that's Colonus, it's not exactly the way it
No.
is now.
No.
But
exactly.
you have to try to imagine that this was, at one point, a beautiful green place.
Yep.
And it's no accident that Plato selected the place for his academy right next to this place.
Right, right. That's,
But that's another story.
yes.